Carol here. Warm welcome to my craft room. It's so good to be back up on YouTube. I have had this painting, this little painting card on my mind. I was inspired by a video of a cardinal in a snowbank, and I changed it up because I really do love to do birch trees. It's just about, other than the other beautiful trees out there, the Canadian maple trees, and being a Canadian, I love. But we have birch trees, and I just find them fascinating to look at. So I'm going to put my cardinal here once I get it down with drawing it. And I'm using Strathmore 140-pound watercolor paper. I have it tacked down with some yellow painter's tape. And the funny thing about this, may I just add right here, is this is a Mama Cardinal. I made it out to be, and I'm trying to get it. It's hard to just think of a cardinal and try and draw it off of a video. I don't even know if I had the video playing while I was doing this. I can't remember. It's been about a week I've been working at this, but anyway, my cardinal just kept getting fatter. As right here, it reminded me of a woodpecker. You can't have that because I'm calling it a cardinal. I don't want a woodpecker up there, so I kind of have to get his head to the right shape here. A woodpecker has a thinner neck on it. And so I had to get it out of the woodpecker stage and get it to look like a cardinal, which it will once you start painting it. I love working with watercolors, and it was really nice to use different watercolor sets, that you have in your stash. So that's what we're going to do here. I chose to use the Prima Confections pan sets. I have 3 of them, but I think they do have a few more of those sets out now, like the tropical and the vintage colors in them. So I'll leave a link over on my blog for you, but I decided to use the 3 that I do have in my stash. And I'm just trying to get his little feet down. And when I did start this out, I was going to do the snow thing. I was going to put my cardinal in the snow and try to make it like the video that I had seen. And I will link you to that video because it's a beautiful painting. And I decided to make this a card, of course. So here's the pan sets. And when you have these sets, and I have used them quite a bit, as you can see, in the past, when I first got them probably. And you always are trying out new sets. I'm just trying to let you see that I'm using the 3 sets. And the thing that was very different with painting this card for you is that I did layer it up. I mean, I took out quite a bit of the edit, trust you me. And the first thing I want to do here is I laid down a foundation of water first. I am using, I think this is a number 12 in the Velvet Line paintbrushes. And I tried to get quite a bit of water on there, and I'm pretty sure I have at least 5 or 6 layers of watercolors to get exactly what I wanted in the sky. And the beauty of a 140-pound cardstock is you can do that. It will take the wetness of your brush, and that's wonderful because you don't have to feel intimidated that you messed up your painting and you can't move forward. You really can. And I prove that every time I put a tutorial up. That there's hope when you make mistakes, because I make them all the time. And so how's everybody been doing? I hope you're doing well. I was a little sick there for a while and wasn't feeling that well. See how I'm putting the green and the turquoise together? I love that. And I'll add some yellow to the background. And this, even when I Copic color, I use my pencils, whatever pencil line I'm using. I love to have a base. And if you get used to doing that, just laying out a base before you even decide what colors you're going to use in your final painting, like in the final episode, so to speak, you can just set it there. And once you get the images done, the colors will pop in your head on, you know, how bright you want your bird, how bright you want your sky, and those things. And you can see how I left room for the snow underneath. Here I am just wanting to make some shadows. So of course you don't want to put black on anything. Watercolors, acrylic, anything. You don't want to get used to painting with black to do your shadows. Just, you can use black, but mix some greens or some deep blues into it so it doesn't look so flat, you know. And that's what I'm learning as I'm doing watercoloring. I don't do it enough. I just had this conversation. I'm just going to leave while I'm doing this. It's so funny because I was talking to my sister. She's a wonderful painter with acrylic paint. She's painting some beautiful paintings. And tomorrow I'm going to follow along with one of her paintings she's doing. Here I'm just putting the legs down because I was thinking they're going to be in snow. So keep that in mind as we're doing this. But anyway, I was talking to her and I was saying, you know, Barb, I said, the funny thing about YouTube, and I'm sharing it with you because I've been on YouTube now for over 5 years, and you go through mountaintop and valley experiences. And sometimes when your mountaintop is so high and you're getting a lot of views and a lot of comments, a lot of people are watching your video and you're all excited about that. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're changing up because as somebody that enjoys art like myself, I can't stick with one thing. And I was asking you, do you think I should just stay with one thing, like either doing painting or Copics or whatever, doing canvases, like layouts, journaling. I love all those things. And, you know, the old saying is true that if you stay with one thing, you get to learn it well. And it becomes second nature to you. And then people get used to your channel as being, you know, you do lace books or you do vintage books or whatever. But with my channel, I was telling her, I said, I enjoy all aspects of art. All aspects. Now here's where my bird starts to get a little fat. Okay? She becomes almost like she's expecting. And I have to tell you, the beak here, I must have went over this beak I 15 times at least coloring it, and I'm using fine liner paintbrushes. I'm changing up. I did get out my black velvet or whatever these ones are here, line of watercolors, but I do love the water-filled paintbrushes that you use as well. Here I'm adding orange and red because you get that luxurious look. And if you know anything, it's like red lipstick. It is difficult to stay in one spot. And if you don't dry it, if you don't keep water away from it, my friends, it is going to find a pathway that you don't want. It'll just move out just like it's doing there. And I had to, this is where my bird just got a little bit fatter than I would have liked, but hey, yeah, you know, my bluebird, oh yes, I like him chubby. How you doing, chubby? Yes, so here I just thought, okay, I'll take out as much as I can at the start, but I added water there and I don't know what I was thinking because it is just oozing out and, you know, having a good old time with trying to find how much space it can use up on my watercolor paper. So be careful. You can see it's traveling. I've got a bit of pink back there, but that's okay because that's going to be a sky. So you know me, I don't get too worried until the end. You know, you can make mistakes all the way through, but yeah, I'm just pushing it out there. But let's get back to what I was discussing there with my sister. As she was doing her paintings, we were chatting up, and as I was doing this with her, we were talking about YouTube, and she's been thinking about a YouTube channel as well, but just doing acrylic paintings. So we were just sharing some thoughts, and I said, you know, YouTube's a journey. It really is a journey. Everybody would love to think that they would have 100,000 subscribers and, you know, thousands and thousands of views. And some people do. Some people do. And they're super blessed that way, and that's wonderful. You can see here I'm making that red work for me. Yeah, I'll make it a feather. I'll make it a wing. I was going to say an arm, a cardinal wing. But like I was saying just a second ago, don't get discouraged when you're doing watercolor. Watercolor is very easy to fix. Doesn't he look mean there? Oof. Yeah. And it's a she. I made this cardinal a she. And I thought, I got to do something with the beak and the eyeball there. That eyeball just looks like it's looking right through you, doesn't it? And then that, that's the back feathers to the bird that's right beside the leg there. But we are going to fix that up. And we'll fix the crest up on my little bird's head. But it takes time. It takes time to, you know, to make it your own. Look at that. I am so I'm having a blast. If it isn't my red coming out, it's the black coming out. So I'll just move forward and add some more layers. I like to have a lot of shadow because, you know, it makes, if you have shadow, he doesn't become just a part of the paper. He becomes three-dimensional to me. And you always be reminded that I haven't had any courses. I mean, I'm not one that can say I know this and I know that, or why you do this or why you do that. I do art to just have fun and to enjoy the talent that, you know, I can do. And I test there. I put my thumb in there. It just gets better. This is where I thought, where am I going to put this? Yeah, I thought I better dry it quickly. I better dry it quickly because it is going to seep out. And yeah, I'm putting a bit of gray because I'm thinking it's going to be snow that I'm doing here. So bear with me. I've got to come to terms with exactly what I'm going to do and what he is going to be standing on. And I don't know if it was here or where it was when I decided to switch it up. And yeah, I thought, you want red? I'll give you red. I'm going to put red right in the card. Yeah, and here I'm using a number 2 brush, I'm pretty sure. You know, a fine liner brush would be nice as well. But it needed to have some light cast to the beak. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I like this type of art when you're growing yourself, when you're learning how to do things yourself. You're not totally copying somebody else, which is good. That's why these tutorials are out there. And yeah, that was a big mistake, but I'll fix it. You want to have kind of like an eyelid, a squared off lid on the eyeball. I did notice that through time. And you can tell I am doing a lot of work on shadows. I'm trying to get the proper shadows. It's a chubby bird, as you can see now, so I want to make the tummy lighter than the outside where the feathers would be. And I want to have a real pretty sky. And to get that, you want to really have a good under layer of greens and grays and blues underneath there, because then your sky will sit up and take notice. Here I'm just putting some feathers kind of coming around like it's going to cross her arms. She's like And I have a surprise for you, because when you open the card, she's going to have 2 eggs and a little baby bird that popped out of the egg, sitting up in a nest, because Mama Bird is looking for her babies. And you're going to see that the limb is going to come out, and there's going to be a nest there. So she's looking, hey, where's my babies? And because Mother's Day is coming up, and you know, I wanted to do something special. Even though my mom's gone to be with the Lord, I still want to honor her on Mother's Day. So I don't know, I guess we'll chat about, if you don't mind, we'll chat a little bit about YouTube. I told my sister, she views my tutorials, and I said, can you give me some constructive criticism on what you think I should be doing? Should I stick with one thing? You know, and if you watch my videos, you know I'm all over. I love to do albums and vintage cards, and I don't do too many A2 size cards, but I'm kind of all of a sudden noticing that my views are down, but yet I am gaining subscribers. Thank you so much for doing that. It is a process that, if you have any type of emotion, it plays with you, because you want to, you know, if you're an artist, you like to please people, and you like to do the best you can so that other people can grow from your work. And like, you know, and my work is fun work, because this is just kind of stuff I want to grow and learn how to do it. And so if I'm just scanning the internet and I see a video that's on there of an artist that is doing a particular project, scenery or whatever, and I get super inspired by it, I have to do it. There's just something in me that just says, you can do it. Go ahead, give it a try. And if you don't get it down this time, you'll get it down futuristically. And I like to work with my number 12 brush as much as possible, because you can get thin lines and whatever. I'm going to get rid of that Hunchback of Notre Dame thing going on too, right there. He almost looks like a mailman carrying mail on his back or something. I have so much fun when I'm doing my tutorials that really, if I had, you know, I always say this, if I had 3 subscribers and 10 views, I really would be excited about it. I'm not talking about that I'm not happy with the views I get. I'm happy I get any. And my thing is, why I'm talking and discussing YouTube, and if you're deciding to go on YouTube, is that you need to decide what you're going to be content with on YouTube. Are you going to be, you know, if your strength is watercolors, I say stay with watercolors. That's not my strength, but I have to do them once in a while because I have the paints and I have the desire to create paintings. I like it on cards. I think it brings out your personality when you do something, and it doesn't, I don't strive for anything to be perfect. I wanted to get my tree down a little lower here, so I took the tape off. I didn't want a crease in the tree, like, you know, a straight line. So anywho, yeah. And I told my sister, you know, as we were talking, I said, if you're thinking of doing a channel, you'd be fantastic at just doing your paintings, because they are just so wonderful. They truly are. And she sat last night and watched my tutorials, and I said, could you give me, you know, is it that I have too many little characters on there? Do I yak too much? Do I not give enough detail? What I'm doing as I'm doing it, that people, you know, aren't drawn to my channel? I don't know. But then I thought to myself, we're living right now in such a time, you know, the scripture calls it perilous times. Here we go. Let me just get back to this. I love to have a metal spatula type thing for doing my birch trees, because all you do is put a, excuse me, I know you like her. She's nice, isn't she? Yes. Oh, better get out of here. I'm going to get paint on me. So if you have a spatula, just be mindful if you have a metal one, you have to lay it down farther because metal is thin, very thin, and it's hard to get the paint out unless it's kind of flattened out. And if you use a plastic one, it's easier because it's thick and it holds the paint up more on a ridge. So here we go. I'm thinking, all right, I have to have some branches. So let's work on the branches. We will come back to the actual tree. You want to put some knots in there in some of your lines. And don't be too critical on yourself. That's another thing. I said to my sister when we were talking, I said, I never want to get to the day where I become too critical about my work, because then it's not fun. You take the fun out of it. So you draw a fine line on, you know, getting the enjoyment of being a YouTuber. And yeah, and so I just wanted to put that out and thank you. I do want to say how appreciative I am of the people that watch my videos and that have stuck with me this long, because I do, I'm like a boomerang. I go from this, oh here, I'm just laying out the thicker branches to the front, because we are going to dive into the inside of the card, which is going to be thicker branches. You know, this is going to be a branch off of the tree trunk, and the babies are going to be sitting kind of like in a U-shaped spot, you know, that Mama put them in. And yeah, and you can see how I'm laying out the foundation. The easiest tree to draw, my friends, and paint, whether you do, now I ventured into a detail brush here. You want to get some little fine twigs on there. It just adds character, you know. It looks like bolts of lightning, but it's not. It's the little twigs, and they'll become thicker twigs when you put the white on them. But it looks nice, you know, to have that on there, just to have some free running branches, the thin branches. And then you can go back and get your black. And the beauteousness of making this type of tree is it's black and white. You can't get any better than that, because you get all your gray tones and, you know, in there, and it looks like a birch tree. And I had to make remember, if your bird is chunky and has some weight to it, you need to make your branches a little chunkier, right? Or else he'd fall right off, or she, in my case, wouldn't be able to perch herself on anything unless it was thick enough. So I had to remember that. And you can just paint with your metal stylus thing. It's not a stylus. What is it? Your spatula. That's what it is. You have to get the names of your there. I'm going into a plastic one because it's bendable. And then I go back, of course, to the metal. There's something about this metal spatula. I just love it. I don't know where I got it. I got a set of 3 of them, and they follow different angles. So here I'm just going in and getting the black on the edges, and you don't have to worry about whether it's all on the right or the left. It's a birch tree. They, you know, all the bark falls off, and it just has such character to me, a birch tree. I just love it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to make sure that this mama bird, it's going to have snow, because the video that I was inspired by, the bird was perched in snow, and he did falling snow. And so I thought, that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, I'm going to have snow everywhere. I'm going to do the same thing. And see how she has changed the character of her, like just putting the dark lines around her eye up there, like it was like little feathers. And sometimes just the thought of a certain image, it projects off of your painting, you know. Uh, I don't know what they call that if you're a real artist. It's, you know, you have to just go with it. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Don't worry about your mistakes, because they're just like Bob Ross says, they're happy mistakes. There's no mistakes. They're happy accidents, and that's truly a good quote to say, because once you get discouraged, my friends, you don't have the stamina to keep going, because you're too worried about all the mistakes you're making. So I try to keep that out. Now I'm going to a thicker acrylic paint here. I'm switching from whatever, I'm switching over to, oh, what is this called? This is my, well, I'll tell you, I got a box. This is the Tim Holtz flicker thing. And I put the paint, you know, I just tap the paint off of an acrylic block, and then you just take, just like you were doing it with the toothbrush, you just flick it, and all this beautiful snow, it comes out in, and don't forget to put your bird's claws on there, and the bottom of them, they have the pointed things that shape either to the left or to the right, you know, the sharp thingies. Like I said, my friends, I had to take out a lot in the edit. So please be patient with that. We will try and get all of it in. But, you know, another thing is, I'll put the color listing in as much as I can over on my blog, of course. I had to get Granddaddy Fiskar's cutter out, because I wanted to make sure that it was cut nice because of all the layers of acrylic paint I have on here. And yeah. And you know, one thing that's really nice about birch trees, may I say it, and I'm going back to my bird here, because some areas you want to take off the snow, in a sense. It'll come back really light. It's not going to fade away because you're using acrylics. I'm putting acrylic paint over top of watercolor paint. See how it's going to rise up again? But it won't be so dark, you know. That's what I'm trying to say. And I left some of it on. I took some of it off the beak, because obviously she's breathing there, and the snow's not going to stay long on the beak. So I thought of that. I thought, you can't have a lot of snow piled up on her beak, because she's looking for her babies. You know, she's probably panting, you know, where's my babies? Yes, they're right over there. They're right on another branch. Don't you worry. And so here we go. I grabbed one of my pens, my white signal pen. That's what I'm using here, just to make a few of them a little brighter and bigger if necessary on there. I don't think I need too many, but I wanted to, it is a large card, let me say that, and I did get out a Fiskar's die right here, or Spellbinders, excuse me. I think that's a Spellbinder die, and it makes all of that filigree that just falls. I wanted to have some black and white transitions off of the bird and the birch trees. So we're going to, that's too much, obviously. And the picture is bigger than the actual die. So I had to think, okay, let's just cut her down. You know, that's what we do. We just do a little bit of think. And yeah, I just, I don't know, I wanted to make it kind of vintagey looking with this dropped filigree. It reminded me of the trees, you know, in the wetlands, and they have all of those falling branches that look so pretty. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then you can, you know, if you find you have some air in your picture, this remedies that. Look at that. Because I did have a white blob up there I wanted to cover. So then you just cut off where you don't want people to see, you know, you want people to see, just cut off the black dye, the black filigree of it, and it'll work fine. So after I got this on, I thought, well, I want to add more to this once I put the base, the card, actual opening base, you know. And I do, I'm looking for just the right red in my red stash here to match. So there was two of them I really liked. I liked that one, and I liked a brighter one. But I did choose the first one there. So let's see, right there. Go back, Carol. I think it was that one. Let me see. There was two of them anyway, a light and a dark. And once I get that for the background, I put the bridal white cardstock, the red cardstock. There it is. I found the bright was too bright. I went with the deeper red. And then my card base is going to be black because the filigree there was black. And I did cut out some white, and it really went into the die because I put an extra shim on top. So I just embedded it right down into the die. But, you know, I'm cutting into it, so it didn't matter. So here you go. I have my 5-inch sequin tape roll that I put on here, and I put liquid glue. So my art glitter glue on top of it, just so I had a little bit of room. And isn't that pretty in itself? Just like that. If I just made the card base red, it would have been fine. But you know me, I can't stop. So I'm just putting my hands down so the glue will just ooze in the right places. And oh yeah, it's coming along. Don't lose that, Carol. And there you have it. I'm happy with it so far. Now I have the card base. I'm thinking, I know I'm talking to my sister here, so, you know, I talk with my hands, and everybody knows that because I'm a deaf interpreter, and you talk with your hands all the time, so I get used to that. I just start yakking away with my hands, and that's all right too. My sisters and friends are used to that. So here we go. I'm going to put some white along the edges to bring out the white. And you'll see what I mean when I put the black over top. It looks like snow. It looks like the bark of the birch tree. It has so many, you know, abstract kind of features to it that I really liked it. And yeah, so here you go. It's snowing. It sure is snowing. It probably was snowing when I was creating this card. Now, I am going to put just on the edges. I'm going to leave the outside edges free of any glue because if I decide to cut it off, I don't want it stuck there. And I do want some of it raised up. This side had just, I don't know, it just had a lot of trunk to it. So I thought I do want to cover it up, but I am going to cut it down. You can see I'm not going to leave all of this there. Later on in the tutorial, you'll notice that I do cut it back. It's 8.5 by 6.25 inches, the card base. So yeah, and I wanted to be able to push that filigree back to see the branches on the birch tree as well. But this is just kind of the route I thought I'd take. I liked it. I put the backing on it. I scored it half an inch, and then I scored a little gusset in it. I moved over one line, and yeah, here I'm just adding thickness to the bottom. This is the base I'm putting on there. So it's a half an inch scored, and then I moved it over one to have a little bit of a gusset because I am going to put the bird on branches on the birch tree on the inside. So I wanted to have a little gusset on there. So I had some room. Now I'm adding the glue to make sure the edges don't come up. And if you can see there, I have glossy accents on the eyeball. I really wanted the eyeball to shine. And she's taking on her own character, and she doesn't look mean anymore. She just looks concerned. That's all. She just looks concerned. So I have to put it over on this side. I didn't know if I had to cut it down. I don't think I did. And no, I didn't. I already did the cutting back. And it's something about the black and white with this dye. I call it a filigree dye, that I liked. I kind of transitioned over to the look of the birch trees, right? That it just wasn't black and you wondered why it was there. I just thought that was really pretty. And yeah, so let me get back to my sister and I chatting up. I don't want you to think that I was discouraged. I don't want you to think that I was complaining, because I am truly thankful for every subscriber that I have, every comment I get, and every view I get. I'm very thankful. And if you know me, you know that to be true. I am not on YouTube to see how many subscribers I can get or how many views I can get. But when you notice that, you know, your views are going down, and your subscribers are kind of staying a little dormant, you want to make your subscribers happy. There you go. I'm doing a close-up of her. Isn't she sweet? Even though she's chubby, I don't know. I just fell in love with her. Oops, sorry. I had to get my pen. You have to have snow on your filigree, right? You can't have that out there in space with nothing on it. I have snow on the inside, so I just went along and added snow all the way around. I couldn't flick it on there because I get more, you know, unless I covered the birdie up. But anyway, I just went and put some snow, and I didn't add snow to the inside where the nest is and the two eggs and the baby. I thought I'd just leave it like sunshine. You know, once she found her babies, the thing is everything was sunshine and happy. That's the route I took there. Anywho, yeah, I just wanted to share my little conversation that I had, and I am super excited to be reaching 20,000 subscribers. I mean, my shattered nerves never thought that would ever happen, and I'm starting to wrap my gifts that I'm going to give away because I've had time to do that. And you noticed here I had a little bit left over. I had cut it just a little bit too much there when I'm adding this piece to fold over as a card. So I take out Granddaddy Fiskar's cutter and cut it right down, and it works perfectly. I just had to cut a little tiny, oh, I didn't. Ooh, I did it with the Stampin' Up cutter. Probably because I got a new blade for that, so it cut well. Now I'm going to be working on the inside. So I want it to match the outside. So I have that wedding white paper, you know, with all that glittery in the background. I use that, then the same red, and then we're going to put our 140-pound cardstock. I almost feel guilty talking about what we were talking about there about the YouTube channel, but I wanted to encourage my sister to not, you know, to take on a YouTube channel. You can't get discouraged. There's good times, and there's, you know, there's mountains and there's valleys in everything in life. Isn't that right? No. Oh, just missed it. Oh, he comes like that. Scares me to death. I never know where I put him. And yeah, let's get out. You can see the shine in that paper. That's from Michael's. It's that Wedding Bliss paper pack. And it just has enough sparkle on there. Then I put this deep red cardstock. I can't remember where I got this cardstock actually, but it sure is pretty, isn't it? It brings the cardinal right out. Now I'm going to draw out some more limbs on my, and I had to make sure on the right side there because I didn't want to put the nest on the left. You wouldn't see it when you opened it. The idea was that the birdie nest would be seen immediately when you open up the card because Mama's looking for her eggs and her baby. So I got out, I'm switching the inside to Altenew. Can you see that? And I switched out to my watercolor brushes. So that's awesome. Yes, I like to do that. You know, that's the old thing I was saying to my sister. I never stick with just one thing. I like to experiment with what I have in my stash. And you can see that the I'm letting out quite a bit of water, Keep a baby wipe or paper towel close by, and experiment with all of your blues that you have, you know, your light blue, your turquoise, that little bit of purple in there. I think I do later. The only thing I noticed that I would have made the one section next to this one where the sky was a little darker, because it's underneath the branches, so it's not getting much sunlight. And I never thought of that, and I end up with underneath the branches being really light, except for that spot right there. But I am adding clouds, so that will compensate in the end, you know. And so here we go. This one, this is the spot. It was just so light after it was finished, because watercolor does dry light, you know. And you have to remember that as well. So here we go. You can see that I am grabbing all different colors, and I love a sky with teal in it, you know. And I'm working on it because I know I'm going to be putting clouds in there. But the focus is on the nest, right? So I thought, don't overwork your sky, Carol. And you know what's really sweet about this too, my friends? I just went right ahead and used straight black for the undercoat, because I thought to myself, why are you worrying about what's underneath of your birch tree, Carol? It's okay to put straight black first, because I'm covering a lot of it with the white, and I am using the professional Liquitex paints, so they're thick, they're nice and thick. So yeah, I was hopping all over the place. Watercolors, I went from the you know, one pan set to another pan set, which is this Altenew set, and you want to use your stash, that's for sure. And here I'm going to add some acrylics to my watercolors for the sky, for the clouds, excuse me. So I do add some of the white, and you'll see it all works out. It really does. You make your dark colors work for your clouds. Don't depend on your whites. Let your dark form your clouds, and it'll all work out well in the end. Here I'm just dripping it down, and then I'll move over. And it's really funny too to work with watercolor and work with acrylic. It's awesome. I was enjoying it. So here's the gully to put my bird's nest. Yes, I did get a mess in there, but that's fine because the nest is going to be there. So I wasn't going to lose sleep over that. And yeah, it was just get her done. You just want to work at it, because you can go back and redo things like crazy, right? And I needed to have that hollow in the tree to put my bird's nest, and my little bird with its mouth wide open looking for Mama to bring him some food. And there you have it, just straight black. And you can add another limb if you like, or you can follow the pattern that you had. Either or. I'm not sure. I think I did have to add. I did. If you look at this, once I get it up, there's a floating tree limb right there. Do you see it? That kind of V? There's nothing on the bottom. It's just coming out of the one limb. It just didn't look right to me. So I did add another limb underneath it. You'll see what I mean once I get going. It's just sticking out there. It's like, no, you can't grow a limb that thick, and you know. So here we are. We're getting into the metal spatula. I'm using the thick Liquitex white and my metal spatula, and I'm pushing down on it almost flat. I almost have to flatten it out to get the edge. Yeah, I use my fingers to get some of it off. And doesn't that make a birch tree? See what I mean? Straight black isn't going to affect the tree at all. Yes, because I'll put black over top of the white, because, you know, it's not going to be all white. And although I hope it's all white when I'm done. But see how you can see it's missing that limb? It should have two of them working down. So here we go. I'm just working this, putting some knots in there. making some gray tones. You can see my white tube there on the left. And then I'll get out my tube of black and we will work it into there. First, I have to transition these branches so they're not, there's some round spots and then you can have some direct angles on it. It's not going to bother you. And I need to grab some more of the gray. I can see it's there. I got to find it. There you go. Turn it around and just play with your acrylics on your watercolor. So back to my conversation here. I'm adding some more straight white because that looked a little bit too gray to me. Why I brought that up on my chat with my sister is if there is certain things you'd like me to create for you, if that you saw in another video. I know my friend Charlene wants to see some script, some hand lettering, and some calligraphy. So I do have to work at that. Oh, here comes the black. And then I thought I'd like to do a canvas with papers, like a real vintage canvas too. So there are things I've got, that I'm thinking of. Here I needed to add more black, and you see the difference when you add the black like this. Doesn't it just give this birch tree some character? When you scrape that black alongside, and I hurried it along. I didn't think you needed to see all of the black go in there. And then if you're not happy with it and it's too black, you can go back with your white. And it is super fun. Here I am going back on that. Some of it will come out of the edges, so you'll just cover it with more paint. There, I'm grabbing some black. Isn't it? Birch trees are so easy. There's nothing hard in making birch trees. Trust you me, if I can do it. So anyway, that chat with my sister was more or less to say to you, I don't mind if there's something you liked in another tutorial, I'll redo it and put it up. I don't want to get my channel to get stale, and I do want to work at different projects, but at the same time, I don't work as quickly as a lot of YouTubers do. They can put a card up every day. Boy, I wish I could do that. Maybe I need to practice and work at that, right? And putting more tutorials up. But it seems like life has gotten in the way lately, and tax season and this and yada yada that, and you get so busy with your own world that you want to be in your craft room, but you don't have opportunity. Now I'm going to move forward with the Altenew paints. I'm going to mix some up because I want to paint the little bird, 2 eggs, and the nest. Now this was hysterical. That's all I have to say. Trying to get this nest. It's almost like I'd never seen a nest before. So I ended up using watercolor, but then I ended up saying, no, I'm going to go to the acrylics because making the nest, that is. So I'm going to zoom in over here. Oh, the little birdie. Is this my house? Is this where my friend's going to be? Oh, well, let's check it out. So I've got the little bird's mouth open, of course. Babies, they're always hungry. And this little bird is no exception. So I'm trying to get the image in my head of an open beak of a little baby cardinal. So I put it on the computer to just check pictures to see what these newborn little babies look like. Oh my, they don't look like anything that you could put, tie together that it was a cardinal. I didn't see an ounce of red on a little baby. It was all brown and kind of a mustardy color, and they have a lot of that elastic skin type of thing. That's the only way I can describe it. Doesn't sound very nice, right? So I want to put a little bit of depth into the mouth when you're looking down there. And so I'm just going to play around with the beak like I did with Mama Beak. There was just something about the mouth. Fancy that. that I had difficulty with. Yeah. So here I'm going to make it a little bit white on the white side because that's what it looked like in the picture on my computer. And that's the beauty. You can just about look up anything, right? So I noticed, you know, it had the, I made sure that the, excuse me for jumping in here, I made sure that the eggs were prominent and the little baby bird was kind of behind the eggs. And when I got to that, I did take out my Prisma pencils. So I'm moving from one end to the other. I really just wanted to get an outline of 2 eggs sitting in the nest before I started painting the nest. So I noticed that they had spots on the eggs, like most eggs do. And yeah, I'm just putting it in white, and I'll color it with the pencils later on. I'm just kind of getting a visual here. And yeah, so I didn't want them in there, but I did want cast shadow. So I'm going to do that just to remind me. And all of this is just a reminder. I go from lightening it up, darkening it up, lightening it up, adding color. But once I get into the pencils, it did give it a little bit of distinction, like, you know, that I could tell it had little feathers on it, and I was able to do that with a pointed pencil that I couldn't do here with watercolors or the acrylics actually. So here we are. I'm just, no matter what, I think it has to have a little bit of red in there, right? Like it is a cardinal. I didn't have any little cute cartoon cardinals. They were all blue jays, which I absolutely love as well. So here we go. I'm going to get out my little tubes of paints, and I took this paintbrush, excuse me. I took out the paintbrush, and I thought maybe I could get some texture using this. And I probably could have if I had the right colors going for me and the paint was thicker. I think that was my problem. So amongst probably other things. So yeah. So anywho, I started with this. Let's just say that I should get it in frame. It would really help. And then I just moved forward. I just thought, you know what? Just do what you can do. And will watch me just kind of suffer through this for a little bit with that rake brush. I really like this brush. There's so many things you could probably do with it. I add a little bit of green there, and now I'm going to plop out some darker colors, some greens, and I'm going to switch up from this rake brush. It really, I think I do, or do I keep, oh yeah, I did a turquoise. I wanted a dark color underneath. Here I go with my layer thing going on. So I go right over this and start using layers because then I can lighten it up and all of that. So you'll watch me do that. And I want to get back to my conversation with my sister so I don't discourage you with that. I am super excited about my channel and the upcoming projects I want to do, and for my design teams there to get some workout out, you know, for you to see. And so in no way was it a negative conversation. I did want to encourage my sister to just to go for it and have fun. It was the best thing I ever did. I just really love my channel. It's a release. You gain friendships. There's so many positive things to having a YouTube channel. So I told her that, and I, you know, expressed that there will be up times, and there, you know, like anything in life. So yeah, that was our conversation, and she helped me a lot. She said, look at that, isn't that hysterical, that mess thing going on there? But it's like twigs, and I'm trying to get this, the texture, that was my thing, is to have it look like twigs, and I didn't want to suffer through it because then I would have twigged right over my little bird and the eggs. just out of not really knowing what to do with the acrylic paints there, you know. I'm separating some of them. Then I thought, oh no, it looks like my bird has antennas there on his head. So I fixed, yeah. I went in. Still can see it, but oh well. I thought, you know, I have a Martha Stewart punch that punches out twigs. I never even thought to grab a whole lot of colored paper, punch out all the twigs and put them on there. But then I didn't want it to look like a wreath either, you know. So I thought, okay, Carol, just lighten this up, have that in the background, the twigs underneath, and then get out your Prisma pencils. Make some distinction with your little baby bird and the two eggs, and you'll be fine. So that's what I did there. I'm going to play with this a little bit to make the nest. Then I got out my Prisma pencils. This is my white. If you notice, I had the extender on my white pencil because it was getting down there in length. So they're nice to have. And then I'm going to add a little bit of light going on there behind my twigs. I need to make the eggs a little more prominent here and my little bird. But first of all, I wanted to get some blue, some into the twigs like there, and shape those eggs and my little beak. Get that. And I added straight black. I don't generally do this, and I told you not to use black, but I figured if I'm going to get any twig definition, I thought I better put a few black twigs in there and go against the rule of using straight black, you know. Then I did the eggs. I straightened them out, got my bird all straightened out, and then we're going to plant him inside. And I'm going to make it a Mother's Day card. And you can always change up the banner. I use the LDRS Creative Banner die. I love that. I just love it. And I just want to give a shout out that Angie Hunt is, I think it's Tuesday, Thursdays, doing live features with all the upcoming stamps and dies and techniques. It's been fabulous to watch. So if you go over there, it's you'll probably see it on your computer. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so I've totally enjoyed that. And now I'm going to make those eggs just look a little bit like eggs. And they are this tone, believe it or not, they're almost like a milk white with some beige tone dots on them. So I didn't want to stray far from what I saw in the picture. And now this is my Suquang roll. I bought this forever ago. It has lasted me, oh my, a lifetime. Oh, yes, we're just, what do you think? Yeah, maybe we'll sing the little bird asleep. Yes. So anyway, there is the sentiment, love you with all my heart, of course. And it doesn't take away from the inside of the card at all. I'm going to plant it on the same colored cardstock. And once again, of course, I'm going to thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. We're going to have a lot of fun when I get to 20,000 subscribers, I'll tell you that. I got out the bag of goodies, and I'm so glad I bought them at Christmas time. All the Tombow pencils and markers and pencils and all the watercolor pencils that I bought. I'm glad I did that because we didn't foresee what's going on now, and I would have hated to not have anything to celebrate with. And I have a lot of my projects and cards I want to give away, you know, mail out and do a nice giveaway. So, and I couldn't, it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for everybody that views my channel. So thank you very much. And to all the friends that I have made, and it's just been fabulous. I think I was thinking of Allie that's making that wedding album. I've been thinking about you. I hope you're doing, you know, you're having fun with that. And it's like everybody, it's new adventures. I think it's fabulous, you know, that people try new things. And I can't wait until my sister starts a YouTube channel and gets her paintings out there, shares some wonderful ideas with you. She really is an amazing artist. So yeah, now I'm going to cut this off so you can see the birch tree. I don't want to cover it up or anything on there, but I did want to add it so that it matched the inside of the card. Then I'm going to take my black cardstock and heavy up the back of this. I didn't trust just the liquid glue, so I grabbed the Suquang roll of double-sided tape, and I'm just going to put that on there, and that'll help secure it down. I'll add some liquid so that I can, move it. I don't want that to get stuck halfway and have to put a new page on, that's for sure. Yeah, but like I said, that's the things that happen. And I was going through some of my stash products while I'm fitting this in here for future tutorials, and I saw that I had bought a lot of jewelry boxes to redo in paint and paper. I had forgot about that, and that's kind of a nice project as well. Yeah, just trying to think up some new things, and yeah, so let me know what you think. I'm so grateful that I am getting people view my work. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I don't have to say that. I'm really thankful for that. And yeah, my sister and I had a fun time collaborating together while she painted and I did this project. Well, there we have it. This is the little piece that I made for the back so that it has a little bit more weight to it. I'm going to put that down, and we are going to call it a card. A cardinal card. Oh, excuse me. Yes, itchy ears. Okay, once this gets on the back, you're going to have the weight. Then you turn it over, and we're going to have the same. Actually, we're going to have the snow scene cardinal on the front. And then you're going to open it up, and you're going to have this nest with the baby inside. And there you go. So I'm going to post the pictures at the end. I hope you enjoy them. And there you have it. Mama Cardinal and the little baby in the back. Yeah, no more. We don't want any more of the filigree, do we? Just call it a card, close it up, and I will post this. I hope you enjoy it. There's a close-up. There's a close-up of the inside. I'll post all the products over on my blog. I'll leave direct links. Have yourself a blessed week, and we'll see you on the next tutorial.